Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. I'm just filming this video to experiment with my new camera setup and things, so hopefully it looks much better than what I've had in the past. Let me know down below. So this video is going to be about The Last of Us 2, so it will contain spoilers. If you haven't played the game yet or you haven't finished it, I wouldn't watch this video because I'm going to be talking about lots of things that happen in this game. And I wanted to make a video of my thoughts and what I think because it's been talked about a lot, like on Twitter, like on Facebook articles, like just everywhere. There's been a lot of mixed opinions on this game, so I thought it's only fair that I do a review. The Last of Us 1 was like one of my favourite games ever, and it's kind of got a special place for me because it was the first story game that I actually played because it came with my PS3 bundle. So if I hadn't played The Last of Us, I probably wouldn't have played like the Uncharted games and the Tomb Raider games and all the other story games that have come out. So yeah, really sort of special time, this game. So I've been really excited for The Last of Us 2 for however long, as soon as it was announced, and I think people got sick of me talking about it. So I thought, people are probably wanting to know what I think, and here we go. I've got my list of pros and cons again because as I sort of played through it and saw things that I liked and enjoyed or disliked, I wrote them down because I thought I'm going to need to speak about this and I'm going to forget about stuff as well. Also, check out new McFly merch, looks absolutely sick, so yes. Right, I'm going to start off with the positives. There isn't as many positives, and I'm going to get into that soon, but there we go. So one of the pros was obviously the amazing graphics. This game was outstanding graphically. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a game where the graphics just look so realistic. It's more like a TV series movie graphics rather than a game. So the whole time when you went to a new location, I was just like in awe of the graphics. So that's definitely like a positive. Like, regardless of whether you enjoyed the game or not, you can't deny that the graphics were absolutely unreal. And going on from that is a great smooth gameplay. Like, I sometimes find that with story games especially, like the gameplay isn't as smooth from cutscene to game, whereas you can go from like playing and then it'll suddenly cut into a cutscene and then the graphics just suddenly up. Whereas with this, it just went straight into a cutscene and it was the same throughout. Like, the gameplay was amazing. Like, you could now crawl fully on the floor, which I love that they added that in from the first game. So in the grass, you could completely hide by going prone or crawling under vehicles and things. It made stealth a lot easier for me, as I find stealth quite hard in games, and also I don't have the patience for stealth. But The Last of Us is one of those that sometimes you do actually have to do a little bit of stealth, and my headshots with the bow and arrow was like really good this time. I can tell that I've improved as a gamer from like the 7 years since the first one came out. Obviously, I'm going to have played more games and my combat and stuff is going to have improved. So I like that. I think that the weapons were a lot easier to aim with, and yeah, it was just all like a lot smoother and enjoyable and wasn't glitchy in any places at all. It was just like a perfectly finished off game, which is what you expect, especially when it's been pushed back so long and it eventually comes out. You expect the game to be like top quality. So in the first game, what I found quite irritating was that you couldn't stealth attack the clickers, and it was really hard because you had to craft your shivs, and you could only carry like 2 shivs at a time. If you didn't have a shiv, you basically just have to shoot the clickers. So it used to take quite a long time to get through it because you couldn't stealth them. And I loved that in the second game, that you could go around and you could just stealth the clickers. I found that a great feature, and it helped me get through it a lot quicker than the first one. So props to Naughty Dog on that one. But there is a slight thing that's going to annoy me that I talk about further on when we get further on into things that I don't like about the game to do with that. So, I mentioned that. So not as many infected in this one. Like, I feel like the first one had a lot more infected. It was more people in this one. I mean, there were different monsters infected. So there were the stalkers, which were probably my least favourite, just because you couldn't hear them because they were like silent ones. So on when you press the hearing, you couldn't tell where they were, so they sneak up on you. So I found those really annoying. And then the big, massive monster, which I can't remember the name of, that was also one of my least favourites, just because it was just so hard to find ammo in that section. It wasn't particularly hard to defeat, but it was dark. It was in a small section of the game, like most boss fights are, and it was just annoying. So, but yeah, not as many infected, which I quite liked, even though the game is about the infected. But I feel because it was part 2, you're obviously not going to get as many infected because there's more people around that know how to sort of fight them off and stuff like that. And then the surround sound was insane. I remember the first day this game came out, it obviously came out at midnight, and I played through the PlayStation headphones, and the sound was insane. I thought there was a clicker or an infected so close you could hear it in your ears, but then it was like a little bit further back, so it honestly made you more scared, which, even though I don't like being scared, I think that has a great effect on the gameplay and the experience as a whole. So they're like my positives. I know you're going to be thinking, well, there are not many positives. Like, I'm going to get onto my negatives and my full opinion now, because there's lots of things that I want to talk about that I didn't enjoy and I thought I would enjoy, or things that I just thought didn't make the game that good. So I'm not going to talk about the first one with my point, because that's going to like talk about the end. So we'll talk about that one last. So when I was on about taking out clickers, in the game, you play as Ellie. You think you're going to play as Ellie for the whole game, and then you get to halfway through and you basically play as Abby's side of the story, which annoyed a lot of people, and I can understand that, because you don't know how long you're going to play as Abby for. Turns out you play as Ellie for like 3 days in Seattle, and then you play as Abby as 3 days in Seattle. So it's kind of like 2 stories in one kind of thing, which was a little bit weird. And as part of Abby's gameplay, you couldn't stealth attack the clicker, so you sort of go into it thinking you can, and then you get attacked by one, and then you realise, it's like the first one, I've got to attack with a shiv. And I can sort of see why they've done that, because obviously Ellie's more experienced and got more things and stuff to craft, so they've made it where it's a little bit easier for her, whereas Abby's sort of like, you've not met Abby before, so it's kind of like the first one again, where you got to get shivs. But I just found that really annoying. Like, it was just kind of like, why would you make one character be able to do this? You go into it playing another character and it not being the same, and you're having to work that out. And then she had different sort of weapons. Like, Ellie had a bow and arrow, Abby had a crossbow, and personally I prefer bow and arrow just because it's easier to get headshots and it's easier to aim with. Abby had like pipe bombs. They were pretty good actually, the pipe bombs. And Ellie had like the bombs that you put on the floor. So it's just like different things, and I guess people are going to have different things that they want to take out on an apocalypse with them. So I can understand that. I just didn't like the no stealth for the clickers thing, because it made everything a lot harder. I found that Abby's backstory, though, a lot of it was quite irrelevant to the game. Like, I don't think we needed like a whole 3-day thing for Abby. I feel like a lot of it could have been cut out. There were things with Owen that was a bit irrelevant. There were things like with the other people, like going around her camp and stuff. I found that we didn't really need all that, really. We could have just had, right, this is Abby's flashback, because they obviously did lots of flashbacks with Ellie and Joel, and they did flashbacks with Abby and her dad, which we work out that Joel killed Abby's dad, who was the doctor at the hospital that wanted to get a vaccine from Ellie being immune, which is why Abby killed Joel. Another thing is, I don't like Joel being killed, but you know, these things happen. I feel like why Abby did it, you can see why she did it. Like, it wasn't great what Joel did, and he literally endangered the whole planet because he didn't want Ellie to die. So then you've got the Ellie and Joel rift. So that's kind of like, yes, I get it, but I don't think we needed to play as Abby for as long as that, because it was like, it was just, I don't know, it was just irrelevant. There were lots of things. It kind of made you want to feel sorry for Abby and sort of be like, yeah, I know why she did. But for me, it didn't really work like that. I didn't really think anything different of her as a character. I still thought she wasn't a very nice character. But I suppose you're gonna get characters like that in games. And I enjoyed like the gameplay. Like, there was some really like hard, like scary bits in Abby's part, and I feel like a lot of that could have been cut down. So we could have had the backstory, and then a cutscene of like things that have happened, and then be like, right, this is where we need to start off. Is rather than going around her camp, getting the dog, doing like the shooting, the archery, like there was a lot that was just filler, and I feel like that didn't really need to be needed. Like we didn't have any of that in Ellie's really. We walked around her a little bit at the beginning, had the snowball fight, and we were straight in. Like I feel like they could have done that with Abby's a little bit better. And there was like a sex scene in there, which again, fine if you want to put stuff like that in, but it wasn't really relevant to the story. Really wasn't relevant to her story. Again, I think it was just kind of a fill a little bit, and it was kind of like you got Ellie and Dina with their love story, so they thought, oh, we'll put Abby a love story in too. So they're trying to mirror very much what Ellie's story was, of a love interest, sex scenes, and losing a family member, that sort of stuff. So it was very mirrored to Ellie's, is what I found, and I feel like Abby could have had a completely different sort of backstory. Yes, her dad died, and that's the reason why she killed Joel. That fits in fine, but she could have had a completely different sort of lifestyle. It didn't have to be very similar to Ellie's, but I guess they're in an apocalypse. Things are going to be quite similar. So that's just my thoughts on like the whole storyline. I'm going to get into the ending of, I feel like the whole game was literally pointless because of how the game ended. I feel like the whole thing of I want to get revenge on Abby and I want to see this girl die, and then for it not to happen right at the end because she sees Joel in her mind, I feel like what was the point of the game if it's not going to be the ending that we all expected? The whole sort of revenge thing. And a lot of people have been saying that it's to do with understanding what it means. So you don't just go out and revenge people, you sort of forgive and forget, which again I understand, but I still feel like the game was pretty much no point. And I feel like where it ended, where Ellie and Dina were in their home, like Dina's baby, and I feel like that was a really great place to end it. And then when Tommy comes in and says, "There's this place we need to go," that could have been the start of the third game. Like it didn't need that filler bit at the end. I feel like that sort of really sort of spoiled it. I really didn't need that bit. I found that bit to be just irrelevant and, again, filler to extend the gameplay. It could have stopped at the end, could have left it on a nice cliffhanger, and then they could have made the third game and had that whole thing to be a full game in Santa Barbara. So I feel like they missed a trick with that. And it really it was really sad that Dina left Ellie. I found that really, really sad. Even though she said that she would leave sort of like if Ellie went again, I still found it sad because now Dina's becoming a relevant character. She started off the journey with Ellie, then she announces the pregnancy and all that, and you think, oh, this is going to be a nice relationship. They're going to end up in a nice home together, and then she just ups and leaves. So I'm just like, what was the point of her character if that was just going to happen? I mean, I guess people have breakups and stuff, and it was just a bit rubbish, really. It made me feel really sad. So yeah, that's thoughts on like the whole plot. I feel like the plot could have been a lot better and would have made the gameplay experience even better. But again, I don't work for Naughty Dog. They wrote the game that they wanted to share, so I respect them for that. And it was still a great experience to play. I just personally I didn't like the ending. So I put about Joel dying. I also think it shouldn't have been happening so early on in the game. I feel like we only just sort of got into the game where we've got Ellie and Joel, and then it just sort of happens where he dies. But then again, if that had happened, we probably wouldn't have got all the flashbacks, but we might have done. We don't really know. Like one of my favourite things was going on all the flashbacks. I feel like that really added to the gameplay and the story. That was a brilliant part of the game, all the different flashbacks that we got. My least favourite thing of the entire game, and it's interesting seeing people play it on YouTube who also feel the same about this, is when you come back as as Abby, and it's her last day, and she comes back to where we were currently in the game. If you played it, you'll know the part where she's just found Ellie, and Ellie has said to take her. She doesn't want all the other people. It's just Ellie that she wants. You play as Abby and you have to attack Ellie, and that was literally the worst bit of the game. I was just there like, I don't want to attack Ellie though, because I played as this character. We've got that bond with this character, she was in the first game. Like, I don't want to play as a character that's just come into a game that we don't know much about to attack like the main character in this game. That was literally the worst thing they could have done. That could have been a cutscene. I feel like that would have been a nice cutscene. Ellie and Abby having a little fight, and then it says that they don't kill each other, but they don't want to see each other again. Didn't need the actual gameplay of me trying to attack Ellie, because I really didn't enjoy that. Please let me know what you thought about that down below. Be really interested to hear people's opinions on that, but as far as I've seen, nobody enjoyed that part. I feel like it did the fans over with that bit. It just wasn't good and didn't feel good to do. Another like this is more of a mechanic of the game. So there was a lot of ropes in this, where you had to throw the rope over stuff to get like over places or to take it to another location, another part of the location. But the mechanic of this was awful. Like, this was the only thing in the gameplay that annoyed me, where you had to get the rope and throw it over, because I was on this bit for ages and I knew I had to throw it over this certain part, but because it wasn't in the bit where the game was like, yeah, that's the right bit, it just kept falling down, and I was throwing it over, kept falling down, trying different areas. And I just think it's very particular in where you need to throw this rope, and I must have been doing this section for 10 minutes just trying to get this rope over this little section, and it was driving me slightly crazy. So I feel like if they bring ropes again, if they make a third one, to improve on that, because it's not great. It's really not a great mechanism that they've got there. That's all I've got. Oh, and changing weapons, I feel like that also needs to be changed, because when you're trying to like in a battle and you're running away and it says hold square to change weapon, like you're looking and you're panicking trying to find weapon. I feel like when you press R1 to quick change, it should just go through every single weapon. So I feel like that could be improved, but I guess that's the whole point of a survival game as well, to make it more tricky. But that's just my personal preference on that. And then the final boss battle between Ellie and Abby in the sea was like the weirdest end to like the game, like the weirdest boss battle. Like the fight with the big mutant was more of a boss battle than Ellie and Abby fighting in the sea. It was weird. It didn't feel great. It was awkward. I just felt like that again was something that shouldn't have been in the game. There was lots of things that I felt shouldn't have been in the game, but then I still feel that it was a great game, but just with a very sort of lacked storyline. It's a very strange one, so I feel like I give it an 8 out of 10, just because obviously the storyline wasn't great, and then with the rope mechanism and the gun changing and stuff like that, I feel like it could have been improved. So they're my thoughts after playing it and finishing it and seeing other people play it and things. Please let me know if you've played the game, what your likes and dislikes are. Do we have the same opinion? Is yours different? Be really interested to find out, because again, like I've said, this is one of my favourite series in a game. Naughty Dog are my favourite game creators. So yeah, it'd just be great to hear other people's opinions. Let me know if you like these sort of sitting down videos, because while I'm still not working or doing a lot, I have more time to film and I don't have many things to vlog, so it's just nice to mix things up a bit. I would love to hit 200 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you did like my video, click the big red subscribe button, and that'll make me smile and want to make more content, and it also tells me that you enjoy what I make. Yeah, that's pretty much it. New videos hopefully soon. I do have a lot sort of planned down of what I want to make, so now that I've got like this better like setup going, I'm gonna probably film videos daily at the moment. Right, but that's it from me. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.